Jack?
Yay! Is that good for you?
No.
Dennis said I have to be happy.
Hey guys.
This is not Dennis.
No.
Dennis
is over there.
Dennis is behind the scenes again. He doesn't feel good again. Thanks for serving your country, Dennis. That's what you get.
Thank you, sir.
All right. While it's still legal, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. How much time do you think you get in solitary confinement when that's illegal? Because we do it twice a day.
Well, Daniel, they fed him to the lions.
Thank God we don't have any lions anymore. They're extinct. We'll get fed to the AI lions. All right, let's start the show. You guys ready?
Ready.
You okay, Dennis, over there? Was that how you even laughed?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Welcome, Patriots. Stand united with Jack and Dennis.
All right.
Got a great show for you tonight. Jack and Mike are going to do a great job.
Okay,
I
we're
told
done.
Mike to shave early, but he wouldn't listen.
I did shave. You should have seen it before.
He shaved like Jack does. He shaves on soap that way.
I do.
All right, folks. Gonna ask you, there's all kinds of congressional hearings going on. You think anything's gonna happen?
No, I do not.
So they got the last one I watched. Next week, I'd like to put on a thing over there. I'll grab a few, maybe one or two, because sometimes there's a little time that takes up a lot of the show, and which is okay sometimes. I think the ones I'm going to pick are going to be interesting. But they have Mayorkas there. You know, he's in charge of the border, and Marjorie
Well, he's
Greene.
supposed to be in charge of the border.
Yeah, well, Marjorie Greene, whatever her name is, she got twice. First time she introduced herself. Well, that was an interesting saying from a guy that had a 2-year affair with a Chinese spy. I reject. So they had a vote, and it stayed in the books. That statement was allowed to stay.
Yeah.
The next statement she said was she called Mayorkas a liar because there's 300 deaths a day from fentanyl crossing the border and stuff like that. And she called it a liar. Bank again. I object to that. And that one got struck.
Yeah.
And they took her time. She wasn't allowed to finish asking.
And I don't
questions.
understand it. I mean, you are really blinding yourself to the truth if you don't think this guy's lying. Well, maybe he's just ignorant.
No. Well, they're trying, their theory on it is you're not allowed to, insult somebody's integrity, so to speak. But they have no integrity, I mean.
None of them do.
Yeah. And I think here's the problem is these things aren't showed. Well, they're showed on C-SPAN, but the average American don't have time to
They don't know the channel C-SPAN.
That was on 3 or 4 hours for the day, so you see clips, and depending on what you watch is what you saw. If you watch the liberal TV, you didn't see much of it. You saw that her statement was struck down. You don't see the other one that Swawa was, had a 2-year affair with a Chinese spy.
Yeah.
Saying that, we should be off the air in about 30 seconds. But anyway, we're going to go on with the show anyway.
But like you said, the stuff is being broadcast about 15 seconds worth of it, and the American people aren't going to do anything except forget about it.
Yeah, well, there it is, because nobody's ever held accountable for it, and nothing goes any further after that.
And this guy knows it. All of them know.
Right, they all know it. So these congressional hearings have no teeth.
No.
If you lie, you don't get prosecuted for perjury.
Or not paid.
Well, and that's the next thing, to impeach Mayorkas, he'll get impeached in Congress. It's theatrics, It's not going to go through the Senate. But the representatives do have the purse strings, and they can say, well, you're not getting paid until you do your job.
Like, till we see some kind of improvement.
But neither side of the aisle do that, because then they're saying, well, there's the Pandora box.
Right.
Now, when these guys are in, they're going to take our secretary and not pay them. And nobody's going to go take this job, which would be a good thing, because we don't need that. We don't need this many employees. We're going to go over that too.
Right.
And then you would have people that, again, if these folks would understand what the Constitution stands for and what these secretaries and the head of departments are supposed to be doing, and stuck with the Constitution,
They would have no choice.
then you could say you're not getting paid until you do it,
Right.
and both sides would, if they played by the law of the land,
They would have no choice. It would have to be that.
but they don't want to work. There's a lot of work when you play by the rules. When you don't play by the rules, it's easy. You get a $3,000 suit, get a $600 haircut, get your 5 seconds of fame on whatever channel you're going to be on, whatever side of the aisle you are, and then you get to go lie again when they ask you, "Can we have an interview after your hearing?" Oh, sure, yeah, I'll let you know. And it's it's
I'll give you a couple of hours of my time and get absolutely nothing done.
so
Can I ask you something? You know how you were saying the Pandora box? It always seems like the Republicans are saying that. Well, we don't want to do this because then when we get into power, they'll do it to us. But it never happens that way. Democrats always seem to do it.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mike. Why? Why does the Republicans do that?
Because they're all one party, like you're saying.
Right. It's a uniparty, and so they're trying to play a role like Hollywood. I'm a conservative guy, blah, 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 blah. This is what I want to do, but we really can't do it.
Our hands are tied.
Because someday down the line, it's going to happen to us. What do you care? Get it done right now.
Yeah, let them work for that.
Let them go out there and explain why they're not paying the secretary because
Doing
that
his job.
secretary is doing what's supposed to be done through the Constitution.
Right.
But, again, we had said it once, if we haven't said it 1,000 times, 46% of your elected officials don't know that the Constitution is the law of the land.
Yeah.
Listen to what I just said, folks. 46% of the people that you vote into an office, whether it's state or federal, don't know that the Constitution is the law of the land. They don't know.
So there might be almost half of them don't even know that they hold the purse strings.
Right.
So they don't know they have that as an option to use.
Well, when was the last time that they passed a bill that Congress wrote? That was, let's get really complicated and say 100 pages.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something, Jack. I watch C-SPAN, and guess what? I don't see any laws getting passed.
Well, they get bills that get passed, and it's like Dennis says they get passed, right, Dennis?
With a
3 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
3,000 pages.
We don't see it.
No, but they don't see it. They don't
Right.
write it because the subcommittees and special interests write it, and then it gets pushed upstairs to the committee, and then it gets pushed upstairs to the floor. Then it gets pushed upstairs to the Senate, and then it gets pushed upstairs to the president's office, and nobody read 2 seconds of it. You know what they read? They read a little blip in here that your neighborhood is going to get $300,000 to see how fast a shrimp can swim on a treadmill.
That's right.
That's okay. I got it.
Yeah. You hear all of these little things. Oh, I'm getting $1 billion for my state.
Yeah.
Now, it's not going to the people. It's going to these researchers maybe that are doing nothing, or they might be able to take a little bit off of it.
Or Alaska gets that bridge to nowhere.
To nowhere.
It's just a bridge.
Where's that
It's
money?
like Stairway to Heaven. So, again, let's see a little outrage, folks. Because you want to know when the outrage hits certain people? God forbid, and I hate to talk like this, but when tragedy hits their home, then they understand. Now they're involved in it. And it shouldn't be that way. And then, we...
Like that poor woman that lost both her sons.
Well, there's countless of them.
Yeah.
There's that woman that was in New York. Her son was a service guy, and he got stabbed by 4 people.
Yeah.
And 2 of them got off, and, Bragg's district attorney's office told them. Now, it was on videotape. Boom, there, they got him. And they said, the DA's office doesn't have the resources to try all 4 of these people.
So how do you think that woman feels?
Well, she's on, she's trying to keep the legacy of her son alive, who had kids and everything else.
What is happening?
So she said when they got to court, the most important people in the courtroom were the criminals.
Yep.
Not the victim and the families. Not that those kids have to go through the rest of their life without a dad.
Well, she just testified at that committee hearing the other day on Monday.
Right. And I tell you what,
Brian?
Yeah.
Brian.
if you wasn't moved by her story, then you have no heart.
Well, that.
And you know what?
I don't think
They
Kevin
didn't have a
no,
heart because
no.
Nadler sat there. Want to see how Nadler sat? First off, I think the guy's about 4 feet and 500 pounds. And this is how he sat. Just like this.
Oblivious.
Off to the
Whatever
side.
she's saying.
Just this was his body language to her. Looking down, because all of their desks are higher. They look down at the people who testify. And here's another thing. How's this? How's this for a joke? You go to these committee hearings, and everybody in the table in front of the committee walks in, they sit down, and before they're allowed to say anything, you know what they have to do?
What?
Swear that they're going to tell the truth.
Right.
So they're going to swear they're going to tell the truth.
But
Everybody up there in the dais
don't have to
swear that they're going to tell the truth.
You know,
how is it that they don't have to swear? Now, Adam Schiff literally lied, wrote his own script about the Russian dossier. Can you say anything? No, I didn't swear. I was going to tell the truth.
There was no perjury.
Right. So
they are tyrants.
We have
That's the
things
way
backwards.
it's set up. It's a tyrannical government. The way it is.
So these people testifying have to swear that they're not going to lie, and these people, and okay. So when you go to court, a judge doesn't swear, but a judge is not asking you questions.
No, and he's not giving. He's not pronouncing you guilty or not.
Well, some cases there. If you decide to go without a jury, you can choose to get a judge hearing or a trial by jurors. That's your choice as a defendant. But what I'm saying is, they're acting like the attorneys. Even I tell you what, even as an attorney going into a court, if you're going to be asking people questions and you have your facts here, maybe you should swear that these facts are true to your best ability.
Well, like you said, nobody's being held accountable anymore.
Well, why are they not being held accountable?
Nobody's being accountable.
They won't even swear themselves to not lie. Yeah. So maybe
they're safe.
Maybe the whole room should stand up and swear.
Yeah.
I mean, does that sound ridiculous to you, Dennis?
No, that sounds like something that should be done.
Right. So
no, it's all theatrics for these people.
It's Hollywood.
That's all it is, and people buy it.
It is pure. I mean, in that hallway outside of those chambers, it's not a hallway anymore. It's news studios.
It's the Oscar award-winning audience.
These studios have every corner of that hallway taken up with lights and cameras, and I mean, it's ridiculous.
But look at the State of the Union. What that is? That's a show and a half. They got their $5,000 gowns and their $3,000 tuxedos, and like you were saying, Biden was talking to the audience, not us.
Yeah,
the audience.
What were you saying?
I'm sure when they have committee hearings without the press there, without the public there, I'm sure they're very congenial with each other. There's no yelling, screaming, jumping, because there's no theatrics needed then.
Well, they're best friends. And you want to know something? It's funny because when they have these cocktail parties, who's there? Them, both sides, the press. Mike Pompeo had a part in his book where he had said when he took over the Secretary of State that the editor of the New York Times came into his office and said, listen, I get information because I'm going to write, and Mike Pompeo was like, basically, in a nutshell, not saying it so much, but you could take your ass out of that chair and don't ever come back in here again. And he looked at him and was like, okay, almost like you're going to regret you said that.
Yeah.
And then that was it. That now there's no more fair game in the press. The audacity of the New York Times to walk into the Secretary of State, which is probably a more important position than even the Vice President of the United States. This person is going all through the world, the entire world, helping Americans around the world and telling them what the agenda is for this administration.
Yeah.
And the press was that comfortable And he wasn't allowed to go see him. It was like a constant nag. Okay, bring him in. And he finally gave him 5 minutes to come in, and that's what he gives him. He gives him,
But the man,
you're going to do what I tell you to do, or you're going to be in trouble. So, I mean, yeah, these guys, you notice there's never any cameras at these cocktail parties.
Yeah.
I mean, they're killing Clarence Thomas again. And I tell you, the only person that I can equivalent Clarence Thomas to as far as inner strength and trying to do the right thing for the United States is Donald Trump.
Right.
For 40 years, this man has been persecuted by the left because he's a conservative black man.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to say because he went on vacation in a rich man's house, he needs to resign. Well, there's leaks out there that showed that other justices of the Supreme Court went and stayed at. First off, that's all they know is rich people.
Yeah.
And there was justices of the peace that had gone and did vacations at rich people's house, who was having litigation in front of the Supreme Court, but nothing was said to them.
Yeah. And when was the last time you had one of these representatives knocking on your door saying, "Can I stay here and have dinner with you?"
Yeah. Well, there's that too.
And you were talking about the press, and I was wondering about this. It's funny how you hear a politician come out with a line, the line of the day. That's what I call it. And all of a sudden, you turn on these news casts, and they all have the same line, all the way down. Every channel is the same thing. Who's telling them this?
Well, is it the politician coming up with it, or is it the news agency?
That's a good question.
But it doesn't matter. It's one and the same. Again, they're all together. It's a uniparty.
And
Everybody's there.
You can tell because they're saying the same thing. They're not even original about it.
Well, I mean, even their fake irate. The pictures are the same.
Yeah.
Can you believe?
Right, exactly.
It's almost like
if you
it
watch
hurts.
the news, it's the same thing, and it's the same words, and it's the same action. What is going on?
And it's both the same. There's only one guy that doesn't do that, and that's the representative from Florida. I forget what his name is. He's the black guy. He's got a very short haircut, goes right into his beard, and he goes on MSNBC all the time.
Yeah.
And he sends them to school. He schools them every time. Like, no, hold on. Here's the facts on your side of the aisle.
Yeah.
Where was your reporting on this? Nothing. Crickets. We got to go now. Commercial break.
Yeah.
And or they try and out yell. So I don't know. You got anything, Dennis?
Not right now.
You got anything?
No.
All right. I told you every week I'm going to give you a reminder. And I hope that someday I don't have to remind you anymore because you're going to stay vigilant and worry about your future family and your grandkids and your kids and everything else. But anyway, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when President Forget-A-Lot, who Dennis coined the phrase, President Forget-A-Lot, and it's an awesome, but
It's very truthful.
I would like to ask anybody if they know anybody that's a better,
Bullshitter.
no. What's that called? When the person acts like somebody? Richard Little used to do it.
Smart ass.
No. When they do the same voice and stuff like that of somebody.
Oh, impersonator?
Impersonator. Is there anybody that does a better impersonation of President Forget-A-Lot than Mr. Magoo?
Nobody.
Walking around, blind, can't say anything.
I can
blah,
see
blah,
him.
blah, blah, blah.
I can see him steering Mr. Magoo over the stage.
So anyway, President Forget-A-Lot, I'm old enough to remember when he got elected to president, whatever fashion you think he got there, promised that not one American making less than $400,000 a year is going to see a rise in taxes. And I'm bringing this up because tax day was 4/18. And if you're on the left side of the aisle, fireworks are going off. It's like a holiday. What? It's tax day. All right. Meanwhile, it's the biggest day of tyranny in this country. Every year it comes. And this year, you know how much money they collected for tax dollars from the American people? Over $4 trillion. So over $4 trillion they collected in taxes this year. And guess what the government did?
Nothing.
They overspent.
Yeah, they always spend the money.
No, they overspent, Dennis. So they must have been busy doing something. So they overspent. And
That's something they do well. Spend our money.
right. So they got these big giant desks, and they have offices with offices outside of them,
Yep.
and hallways and personal trains and cars that drive them around and $3,000 suits, and they spend everybody else's money. I can do that. That's an easy job. The United States American has to start getting outraged.
What was that amendment you said they got to get rid of?
Well, they have to get rid. So what happens is the government is in a position now where they can shut you down, close you out from the world. All they have to do is open up the IRS on you. And you know who's working side by side with the IRS when they come knocking on your door with a gun in their hand?
FBI.
The FBI. And then when that's done and they bring you in, you know who's coming in? The entire Department of Justice is going to be on their side. So they don't even have, all they have to do is threaten you with that. And you'll do whatever they tell you to do because they're unmerciful. So it's time to get rid of the 16th Amendment. We got to get rid of the 16th Amendment and get back to a flat tax the way it's supposed to be done.
Who was the one who did that? Forbes, right? Suggested that when he was running years ago.
Yeah, he ran twice in the 80s.
And both times he said flat tax.
Well, the problem with the way Forbes done that, I feel, now I was a young guy at the time, maybe late teens, early 20s, both times when he run. And the fault of what he did with that was he didn't explain it the right way.
No.
He just said it's a flat tax and this is the way it's going to, instead of saying, the first 100 years of this country,
This is the way it was
this
run.
is how it was run.
Yep.
The first progressive president of the United States got this put in, Woodrow Wilson. That's who changed it because, the administrative state was starting to balloon in this country. And it really hit its, the beginning of its first peak going really up was when FDR, because we had the crisis of World War II. So never let a crisis go to waste.
Yep.
And they didn't. And they got that. So $4 trillion, over $4 trillion was collected. Now, we had gone through this before. So how many employees work for the federal government? For the federal government, Dennis said 1.5 million.
No, I said
No, you
2
said 2
million.
million?
I
2
said
million.
1.5 million.
You said 1.5 million. Jack said, talk to my ass, my head hurts. We got over 4 million federal employees. Over 4 million federal employees making this government go. And, the work that they're doing, I don't feel like I'm getting my return on it. The IRS was bragging because they were able to answer an extra 2.4 million phone calls this year. They got $83 billion.
And they got a brand new phone.
$83 billion added to their budget on top of what it already was. So I don't know what that trillions of dollars for their budget. Got an extra $83 billion. I got that phone. You're screwed.
Yeah.
Mark that down. I answered it. 2.4 times. Boy, I'm dead. I had to pay taxes this year. I had to pay over $3,000. Dennis?
3,500.
$3,500. I talked to another guy, $3,500. Me and Dennis are getting taxed twice because we're working side jobs and we have a pension. So we're paying now taxes on the pension and now we're paying it again.
I was telling my kids because they were saying, well, they're only going to tax the people that are making over $400,000. So I tried to tell them, well, first of all, that's not a lot of money. If two people are working, that's only $200,000 a piece. I said, second of all, there isn't enough wealth to take care of the debt that we have for them to only go after the 1%. I said, sooner or later, it's coming down to you that makes $30,000 a year. I said, guarantee you, they lie. you will be paying more taxes.
Well, you are paying more taxes. And Dennis's
Inflation.
favorite, right? Your favorite hidden tax is inflation.
Yeah.
Interest rates are going up now.
Right?
If your food is going through the roof.
I can't believe food and how much food has gone up.
Yes.
I'm by myself, and I'm spending $400. Now I know I can eat a lot, but not $400 worth of food.
No way.
I don't think Mike eats a lot.
Oh,
They made a commercial out of it. Give it to Mikey. He'll eat.
Anything.
So listen, folks. You are getting taxed. You're getting taxed in more ways than one. Me and Dennis went over the liberal economic system where people are saying what's going on with it. They're not going to pay your debt. The liberals in this country do not pay domestic debts. They pay foreign debts by printing money. So the interest rate is never going to go down. They treat the American dollar bill as a commodity.
I remember you saying that.
The way it comes to be a hard commodity to come by is by taxation and inflation.
Start saving your money.
Because it makes it rarer, right?
Outdated eventually.
The rarer an economy, a commodity is,
Commodity.
the more it's worth.
First day with the new tongue.
There are certain things I just can't say.
So they are taxing you. And they don't have any plans of paying down that debt. They're never going to pay it. It's just going to, I don't even know why they keep track of it anymore because they're not going to pay it. They're teaching. It's a economy class that they're teaching in college now. So when you're getting out of school and getting a degree in economics, you're being taught that the U.S. dollar is a commodity. And you're not going to pay any debt that's domestic, and you're going to print money to pay the foreign debt. And so, again, I had asked this question a long time ago. If they're not going to pay the debt and they're going to print money to pay foreign debt, why am I being taxed?
Why are we being taxed? To make the dollar rarer.
Because they're stealing our money, man.
Yeah.
So they're going to keep taking that tax, and they're going to figure out other ways to get more tax money out of you. The number one way right now is by what? Legalizing drugs.
Mm.
They're going to tax that beyond belief, just like they did cigarettes and alcohol and gas, all of that. They're going to legalize drugs. And then the second thing they're going to put out there is a nationwide sales tax. And they're going to continue to tax you. And that money doesn't go to any kind of government, anything. It's going to go to even more federal employees, number one. And number two, it's going to go into their own bank accounts. They're stealing.
That's scary too because there's no limit to that. Well, where's the cap? If it's, you know what I mean?
Well, what
They
happens?
can make it whatever they want.
It's a redistribution because what's going to happen is, okay, so you can't tax somebody that's under the level of poverty. So now they're going to get a check every year for what they buy. From who? From the person that makes more. They're already looking. May 1st. I believe it's May 1st. I could be wrong. Dennis, I don't know if you heard this. But they're going to change the interest rates around to high risk, bad credit. Those folks will have a lower interest rates because people with good credit and good paying jobs and a lot of money are going to get higher interest rates to pay those
So
lower.
they're turning it upside down.
Right.
I did hear that.
Wow. And that's going May 1st?
I heard May 1st. I could have
In
been wrong
every
because I heard
state?
it on in
I
the
guess
federal
so,
government.
the federal banking
Yeah.
system. That is, and people are just not saying anything about this?
Nobody knows about
I didn't know about that.
it. Right.
I mean, that is upside down. I was always, because I didn't have very good credit, I always paid more interest than everybody else.
Well, that's going to turn around.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So if you got good credit, try and buy a house before May 1st and get it a fixed interest rate.
Yeah.
Because after that,
Yeah.
so what does that count? That counts your credit cards. That counts a mortgage,
House
car loans, school loans.
Wow. And where's this money going to?
Have you ever watched a show?
Just thought I'd bring it out there so you could say something interesting.
Yeah. So that's my piece of the little world, and my reminder to you folks that tax day is not a holiday. It's a fleecing. And if you just continue to do what you're doing, you're going to continue to get fleeced. And I tell you, always remember this too. like Mike said, you're sitting there. If you're not a big money guy, I don't have to worry about that. Well, let me tell you something. The way the world works is he who has the most toys wins. So if you have more money, yeah, you're going to struggle with some of these things that are bad. But if the guy with all the money is struggling,
you're barely surviving.
Right. What is happening to you?
And just turn around. I mean, have you bought groceries? You're barely surviving. Have you filled up in Pennsylvania $4 a gallon again? Those people don't make what New Yorkers make, and they're paying $4 a gallon.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they're struggling. These people are struggling just to get to work.
well, pretty soon you won't have to go to work.
Yeah, well,
So there's that.
is that where that money's going to?
You got anything, Dennis?
No.
Not gonna help at all, huh?
Not
So
today.
just gonna sit there.
Well, I think
Dennis is sitting there in his swimming suit. He's drinking a pina colada,
He wishes.
taking it easy. He's got his umbrella up.
He wishes.
I think was it last week you were saying people get off the couch?
That's
Couch
right.
potato be gone.
I think it's time. I mean, people, are you getting scared yet?
If
I
you're
mean-
not getting scared, here's something you can get scared about. Washington State passed Bill 5559. And this bill is where they can take your kids from you and you won't even know it. Your kid's gone. You try and find them, they ain't going to tell you they got them. If this kid fits the criteria, which the big thing is transgender.
Yeah, that's
So if you have a
now.
13-year-old that wants to change genders, this state will do the irreversible surgeries,
Without your
medication.
say.
You won't even know this kid's going through this. They go through it by themselves with strangers around them.
Yeah.
So the question is, Washington State, are they your kids? Or are they the state's kids?
Yeah.
Experimental surgeries have been done in very big governments. These aren't really experimental, but they are. Because they're being done on kids. The kids. They're doing this to kids.
Their hormones don't know what they're doing. And
And they're
they're
taking
taking a 13-year-old's feelings and saying, okay, we could do something about that. No, you don't have to check with your parents.
I wonder if these politicians' kids are going through this. I think they're
Absolutely
going to
not.
private schools and they're untouchable.
That's what they get when they voted,
Yeah.
Keep voting for the same morons and
And
things will change. Not.
and keep on forgetting what's going on, too. I mean, like, they're having these hearings, you're hearing them. They're letting out what they're doing. And, okay, quick, like you said, reality TV. How much more reality TV do you need than that? Nothing is being done, guys. You're not calling your congressman. You're just saying, okay, and then you never hear anything about it. Nothing's ever done.
Over $4 trillion. That's not the money they're taking from interest rates, inflation, and all of this other stuff. They're just taking and taking and taking. That's not counting your state tax, your local tax. I mean,
County tax,
County-
property tax,
every
school tax,
sales tax around here.
restaurant tax.
Yeah. If you buy food that's prepared already, there's a special tax.
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting very inventive with the taxes.
Well, like I said, the next tax is going to be they're going to legalize. They are spending so much money that they're going to have no choice but to make drugs legal.
Yeah.
And then they'll come out like this.
Hey, we want to fight against.
We did it. We beat the
drugs.
war on drugs.
Yeah.
Yet, you want to know what's going to happen to addiction?
Yeah.
You want to know what's going to happen to mental illness? You want to know what's going to happen
Homelessness.
to society?
Homelessness is going to be on the rise.
You want proof of it? Look at Colorado, Los Angeles,
New York.
San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, Manhattan, the 5 boroughs, Jersey City,
All on down.
Washington, D.C., Chicago. You want to know what's going to happen? Those are all places that legalizing drugs.
Yep.
New York City doesn't have the funds to try a murder that was caught on video of 4 perpetrators, but it's got enough money to make public bathrooms to shoot heroin in.
Yeah.
They had enough money to take down Trump.
Yeah.
How's that happen?
What were you saying about Walmart? Your theory on Walmart and
So you got Walmart, Starbucks, Walgreens, Target, they were all closing down from Portland, Seattle, LA, San Francisco, Chicago. They weren't open in Manhattan. So everybody's, they're on the news and they're saying, listen, we got to leave because the grand larceny that's going on, we can't stand the hit anymore. They're stealing more than we're making. And they come in like by the busload. They go in, they wipe out the whole store, and they leave. Coming in on their bicycles, trash bags, TVs, gone. See you later. So they're leaving. And they're blaming it on this grand larceny crime. And it's funny because the cities that are happening in are saying we don't have a crime problem. We don't have a crime problem.
Right.
There's not a problem. There's not a crime here. This is not a crime problem. And I have a feeling the reason why this is happening
It's
because
called quality of life crimes.
well, I think what's going on with it is these cities are doing this on purpose because every one of those companies refuse to unionize.
And you know what? That's why Manhattan don't have these stores to begin with, because
Right.
they refuse to use
Because they were never going to unionize, and that was the only stipulation. You want to build a Walmart superstore in here? Unionize. No. Well, you're not getting the permits.
So, what you're saying, these are blue states that love unions.
Right. And I tell you the truth, what happens is as soon as these stores close down and leave, grand larcenies are gone.
Yeah, no more.
Because they're not going to call in their Antifas and Black Lives
Job
Matter
well
and
done.
everybody. Right. You're done.
Yep.
You can go now. But be forewarned, red states that have these stores, suddenly you're going to have a lot of people coming into your state that don't live there. You don't know who they are, where they came from, but they're going to be there.
Yeah.
And they're going to grand larceny these stores because they refuse to unionize.
And they don't care what your governor says. They don't care what you feel in your state. They want what they want done.
Right.
My boss said,
It's
I
called
got to do
tyranny.
this. Right.
And they're telling these guys, listen, we let you stay open during COVID. You were the only ones. You don't do what we want. Okay. And they're on TV saying we don't have a crime. They don't have a crime problem because they know it's going away as soon as these stores go.
And it's a funny thing, too. It's like you were saying, they threatened with the IRS and the FBI. We give you all that COVID money. Do you want us to check to see what you did with that money?
Yeah, exactly. And to go back to that case again, I keep going back and going back and going back. Part of the reason that they didn't try that case was because that man was stabbed. And it didn't fall into the gun violence.
Right.
So they're not going to prosecute these because it doesn't fit their mold.
What are we going to do? Like England, take away the knives, too?
Yeah,
We're going to look like fools.
Now, if that man had been shot by 4 guys,
Be all over the place.
I hope you don't take my butter knife.
you're gonna have to steam.
I guess
You're gonna have to stew everything.
I'm going to have to get those dentures.
Yeah, you're gonna have to stew everything. We're gonna be cooking. You know what we're gonna be doing? We're gonna be cooking like the Chinese, little pieces.
Well, first of all, according to them, they don't want meat anyway.
Well,
So you're gonna be
yeah.
you're gonna be doing the beans and the noodles anyway. So
You're just gonna have to eat a big cabbage like this, like an apple.
right. Oh boy.
I do have one topic.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
About time.
I'll let Mike answer this first.
Oh.
Do you think it's time for the United States to have a mutual split, kind of a divorce, and have the red states of America and blue states of America because those people cannot get along anymore?
I don't think we should do that. I think that's exactly what they would like us to do. I think we got to stop. We got to start waking up. I think we should do what you guys were saying before. Get off the couch, call your congressman, do some research, and find out what's going on with your state and your country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that will fall right into what they want.
Jack, what do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think one of our greatest presidents in history died to stop the division of this
Keep
country.
the union.
And
The times have changed since he's been president.
well, you know what? Time changed when that happened too. It's the same.
There was a lot of changes going on.
The bottom is the United States have hit the bottom a lot of times. 1775. They hit the bottom. It's over. 1860. it's over. They literally seceded.
Mhm.
You know, this man, we fought a 4-year. You know, I feel if we allow something like that to happen in this country, the veterans that died defending the union of this country and the veterans that fought the Revolutionary War died in vain. I don't think we should allow it. I think the hard work is, as a constituent, as an American, educate yourself on what this country was founded on and the principles it was founded on and the founding documents that was written to keep it there, and start demanding the people that you pay for start abiding by the law. And let me tell you something. If they don't abide by the law, there should be a consequence of not getting reelected because you understand and vote them back out. And number two, if it's that egregious, they should go to jail.
Yeah.
It should be, you can't say traitorous because it's in the Constitution treaty,
Right.
and it's it's a very hard, but it is it's clandestine. You know, you're secretly trying to bring this country down. You know, and
Well, like
you should pay a price for it.
isn't
I
it-
just feel that, you know, World War One, the Depression, World War II, Vietnam, these last Korean War, the Iraqi War. I think everybody that has fought to uphold democracy would have died in vain. Their sacrifice would be for nothing.
What about these people, like you said,
Hold on a minute.
podcasts ago?
What is your feeling, Dennis?
I think it's a serious time to look at it because of the sectionalism that we're being placed on every day. Politicians segregate us: black, white, Asian, income level, 1%ers.
Well, that's done on purpose. They have set the races. They have made races. They have put us all in small groups, and all they have to do is make a phone call and
I
start
understand
trouble.
that. I understand that part. But my thing is, how can the people stand united when everybody is like, we've been telling people for years to stand united.
Well, they have to educate themselves. First thing they got to do is find out there's one race, the human race. Second of all, they got to get these people out. You were saying podcasts ago, these people have to take an oath. Does that oath mean anything? Because they're breaking it.
Well, listen, they can't take the oath if they don't believe in it. So they shouldn't be. Well, first off, if the constituents understood the law of the land, they wouldn't have voted them in to begin with. A guy like Bernie Sanders,
It's a socialist. He said he was.
yeah, so he wouldn't have been in this government anyway, number one. But I tell you the truth,
Will the people ever unite to win this country back? Because I think we're too late at this time.
I don't
I hope not.
You know what? I tell you the truth, Dennis. It's almost like, you know, we say the same thing over and over again. Educate yourself. Do this. Do that. Do what you're supposed to be doing. But maybe some of it's on our fault. We don't have a big audience. You know, there's other places out there that are reaching hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, tens of thousands of people. You know, maybe we should try and do our due diligence in finding a way, the way this is supposed to be done the right way, so more people will understand it. You know, there are some people that don't understand it and do agree with what we're saying. Again, like we said last week, Dennis, you know, there's a lot of people that will say, you can't do that. And they don't understand why they're saying you can't do that because they're not self-educated. The reason why they say, yeah, you can't do that to me is that inalienable right. And the inalienable right is, that's what you're made of. You understand that you have these certain freedoms, you know, liberty and freedom and happiness.
And those freedoms are being taken away every day.
That's our fault, though. You know, we need to, you know, but I don't think it's gone. I think that, hey, listen, 78 million people voted for Trump. So Huh?
73.
Sorry, I miscounted.
Sorry.
That's all I saw today.
Yeah, right. You know, so there are some folks, and I don't think like I said, I feel like there's enough Americans out there that they just don't understand all of it, and they should. And if you have any questions and we're not getting your question answered, again, like we always say, go on these courses. Hillsdale College on just hillsdalecollege.com. Go on there. It'll show you so many different things of why this country is great. And when you're done taking these classes, you will feel very proud that you were fortunate to be born in this country.
All right. Any last thoughts?
I was trying to find something in the Bible, but I don't have enough time.
No, you don't.
You want to lead us in prayer then?
Yeah. Oh, here it is. I found it. You were saying about your rights that are in you. You know, they're built in. That's why you can't do that. But it's in the Bible too, as far as God. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them. For God had showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead. So they are without excuse. What they're saying, folks, is everybody believes in God. So when they said, what about those people who haven't heard the gospel? Everybody was born to believe in God. All of the atheists, all of the agnostics, all of the humanists, they all at one time believed there was a God. We got to start remembering that. Should I say the prayer?
Yep.
Okay, Psalms 27:14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Let's pray. Please, Lord, bless and protect this new party, this podcast, and all that work on it, and all that listen to it. Lord, please have mercy on this nation and have our leaders do your will. We're scared, Lord. Please help us. We just don't think we can meet tomorrow's challenge. In our own power, we know we're too weak. But we have faith you will enable us to meet whatever challenges life brings. We'll wait for you, Lord, to empower us with your spirit. Strengthen our hearts, Lord. We pray this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
So get out there, educate yourself, people. Jack says we still have time left,
I hope so.
but we're in a critical time frame right now.
That I'll agree with you 100%.
Time is not on our side right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. on
Yeah,
that.
I agree with you with that one too.
So remember, knowledge is power, so make sure you educate yourself. You guys have a great weekend. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you for having me.